My coffee looks really weird.
We should announce that we are officially Cycle Sisters.
We have an announcement.
Yeah.
So if we're a little off this episode, we apologize.
Listen to us long enough and you'll sync right up.
Yeah. For each listing, like write out what they are. I almost think of it like it's the burn book of listings.
How do I get more leads?
How do I stand out in my market?
Is it unprofessional to talk about my kids on Instagram?
Should I have one account or two?
Do I really need a personal brand as a real estate agent?
We are the Modern Agent Marketing Girls. We are two agents turned marketing experts who believe you can become the go-to real estate girl in your market all because you are you. I'm Chelsea Peterson, founder and CEO of Modern Agent Social Club.
And I'm Kayla Fox, Modern Agent's content creator. Let us be your guide as we talk about what it means to market your real estate business the modern way.
So refill your favorite beverage, open your notes app, and get ready to build a business and a brand you're obsessed with. Let's go.
Good morning, Kayla.
Good morning, Chelsea. Welcome to another episode of the Modern Agent Marketing Girls podcast. We are off to a fun start this morning.
And we have quite an announcement.
Oh, yes. Do you want to announce it?
We have discovered that we are Cycle Sisters. I hope that we can get through this with you.
Yes, we feel a little rusty this morning, and then we realized we are both on our periods. So maybe if you guys listen long enough, you will also become Cycle Sisters with us because, talking about marketing isn't enough. We have to also be completely in sync.
I saw this reel recently that the girl was saying, like, when you match someone energetically, you wear the same color without planning it.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is me, Mark, obviously I dress Henry, but Mark and I and Henry will go somewhere and then we're like, we all match. Like we didn't even plan, like on a regular Thursday.
Yep.
And that's probably partially why, but me and you always match. So right now I had on a light gray shirt and then I switched it because I had this necklace on and there were buttons and I didn't want it to clash. So I'm like, I'll just put the dark one on. And you're wearing gray too.
Gray with black sweater. And I actually thought to myself, I had another black shirt I was going to wear. And then I thought, no, we always wear like bright colors on here. But I think because it's like a gloomy day, I was like, no, I'll just put on my black sweater with it. And then you hop on and I'm like, of course.
But it's Friday for us. It's Tuesday for you if you're listening, possibly if you're listening the minute it comes out, which I know many of you do.
Yes.
And I like recording on a Friday. It's just like a fun vibe.
Yes, it feels a little bit more laid back. It feels like just two friends hanging out, getting ready for the weekend. So
we did have a listener say that it's like listening to best friends, having coffee, just chill. So
that like made me so happy too, because that was like our goal the whole time. We were like, we can dive into like all the nitty gritty of marketing, but like we also have a lot of fun together. So we wanted that to like come across. So I'm really glad to hear that.
Well, like marketing it can sound very dry. I mean, it's fun, but it can also sound very dry when you're talking strategy and funnels and all these things. And it's like, I wanted to make it fun because marketing is fun. It's not something that you should dread or hate. Like we want you to truly be excited about it because when you're excited about it, it really works.
100%. So today we are going to talk about listings because hopefully with it being spring now, you guys are getting more listings or you are talking to more sellers or whatever. And so we wanted to talk about not only how to promote your listings and like creative listing ideas, but also like how to get them in the first place.
So can I tell you one little story?
Yeah.
We were in Lake Tahoe this last week with Mark's family, and his cousin and her husband have an amazing house on the lake. Like I've been to a few places around Lake Tahoe, whether it be a restaurant, a hotel, an Airbnb, a house, whatever. And their house is just like 10 out of 10, perfect view. Like they have a humongous window in their living room that just, you can see the whole lake. It looks like glass. It's just amazing. Well, they were telling us a story that when they looked at it, originally they bought it 15 years ago, their kids were 8 and 10, and they're like, I'm so glad I didn't listen to them because they were like, this house is ugly, like the carpet is so ugly, I don't want this in my room. Whatever. And they were like, well, good thing the carpet can easily change, but whatever. So now this house is worth like a crazy amount of money, like compared to what they bought it for originally. And like, thank God they didn't not buy it because of the carpet. But that always brings to mind all the potential you have when you have a listing, whether it is pristine and fully remodeled or it has a ton of hidden potential, or maybe even not. Like there's still things you can do to market that listing. And then when you do that, there's just so much opportunity for you to show other people, your followers, whoever, like how you can market a house. And I think that's a really cool thing.
Yeah, I think sometimes agents underestimate that skill. And I don't think every single agent is really good at it, but I think most are. Walking into a house and seeing the potential, because think about how many houses agents walk through every week. Like think about how much time we spend scouring the internet for like listings and inspiration and all of that. So it's easy for us to walk into a place that might have horrible paint colors or might have terrible carpet, but we see, oh, if you just do this, this, and this, it's going to totally change the place. But I think sometimes we forget that that's actually like a special skill. And that comes with the job, that comes with practice. And our clients, most of them don't have that skill. And so it is our job to point those things out to them.
Well, especially now with pricing and affordability being more of a struggle, I think it's more important than ever. And I think it always has been, but to point out hidden potential or like what this could be 10 years from now, what this could be 15 years from now. Like, can you imagine if at the time they were like, well, this house is ugly, we're gonna have to remodel the whole thing. Like, let's just keep looking. Well, now that house wouldn't even be close to affordable at that price range anymore. So there is so much opportunity. And I actually have this reel that I saved. It's one of our members, Bailey, and I thought this was brilliant. So it's a view of the listing, and we'll link this in the show notes. It shows the outside of the house, and it says the feminine urge to buy a cute little A-frame with views of Sedona, Arizona, and turn it into ... So it's showing like a couple views of this cute A-frame, but it's old. It needs some updating. And then it turns into the moody Pinterest cabin of your dreams. And she's literally taking, I'm showing YouTube, she's taking pictures from Pinterest of a remodeled A-frame and showing the people what it could turn into. So like, it got pretty good engagement. It had 31 shares, which is a lot for, I think, a real estate listing style post. Like, I don't know about you, but if you look at anyone who posts like a just listed post, there's probably no shares in that little airplane icon. So I thought that was a really creative way to spin it and something you could really do with your listings or even like this could be something you do with your buyers that you can help them see the potential in a listing just because there is such limited options for people right now, especially with affordability. So
absolutely. Yeah. One of our story sequences for the month of April too that we created was, okay, here's this listing and here's this room, and then the next slide was imagine this. And it was basically like a mood board, like put these things together. And I think especially if you are an agent who is just very drawn or like just has like a gift for like staging or like seeing how things put together, if you like are scrolling and like shopping or wherever and you save some of those images and remove the background on Canva and add them together, you can help people like visually see that. Plus, like what a cool thing to add to your newsletter. Like there's so many like layers with this that you can really like play this up. And again, what's so cool about this, and we'll get into this, you don't have to have a listing to show how good you are at that, you know? And so I think that's what the first thing that like I think we should dive into is like, first of all, let's just pretend that someone's listening right now and they have no upcoming listings, but they really want some of the things that they could be doing.
In a Marketing Therapy Thursday question I got recently, they said, can you tell me what I could improve on my account? And I said, well, it really depends what you want to improve on your account. Like, yes, I could sit there and say like, oh, you could make your aesthetic better. You could do more stories. You could talk more about this or that. But what is the goal first and foremost? Because if you want more listings, you should lean into creating content that shows or speaks to people that would want to sell their house or want more listings. And I think that gets a little tricky because we also talk a lot about like, don't make your whole feed full of real estate graphics. But I think what we're doing today is kind of walking you through what that might look like through a few different strategies when you do want more listings. That isn't just like, I can sell your house or I'm available or tell your friends about me. Like, how can we do it in a way that makes someone think, they are so good at this, I need them to sell my house right now, you know?
Exactly.
Like, and that's so doable.
Yes. And I'm looking through like the notes I made and I'm like, yeah, none of these involve a real estate graphic, but every one of them will position you as like the go-to expert. And I will agree too, like I've gotten a couple Marketing Therapy Thursday questions, which if you're listening and you don't know what we're talking about, every Thursday on our Modern Agent Social Club account, we will either Chelsea or I will get on and we will just like take anyone's marketing questions and we'll do like real audits or Instagram bio audits or give you like suggestions for like your email club names and all of these things. So we really take the time to like actually look at your profile, give you like personalized advice. And so we love like talking with members and non-members alike on our page. So follow us at Modern Agent Social Club and look at our stories on Thursdays, and we would love to help you. Okay, so some of the things, first of all, if you are like, okay, I need some listings, or maybe you're mostly like a buyer's agent and you want to switch to listings or whatever. Here's a couple ideas for you. First of all, offering just home equity analysis in your stories. You don't even have to put this on your feed, but, and Chelsea, I'll let you actually talk about like the home equity analysis thing that you made for our members. Sometimes you just have to present that like, yes, this is an option. I think sometimes people think when they work with an agent, they work with you when they're ready to buy or sell. But there's so much that can be done before that. And we know that. Like, we know that we can help you with a home search, and we can help you connect with a lender and all of those things. But I don't think the general public knows that. And it is our job to let them know. So an example would be to get on your stories and talk about like how you are maybe helping someone else with just letting them see how much equity they have. You ran some comps for them in the area. You can tell them like a couple of things that you considered, and then you are able to tell them like what their home was currently worth. And then at the end of that, you can just say like, hey, if you're curious what your home is worth, I can do this for you too. It's totally free. Message me here. So Chelsea, can you like explain how you like really leverage this in the members group?
Yeah, so I wrote 3 different email scripts for another great way to do this would be to email your database and say like, hey, here's something that's an option for you if you own a home. Knowing how much equity you have is important. Here's why. So it kind of goes through that, but there's 3 different scripts, and they're like one of them was like, use this one if you want to make it related to the new year. Well, now it's not the new year anymore. So then the next one says, use this one if you want to focus on the people holding on to their low interest rate. And then the third one is, use this one if you want to be short to the point and tell people how you can help. So it's basically going through like your home equity equals your current market value minus what you owe on your mortgage. And here's how that information can help you as a homeowner. So you're not saying like, you only need to know this if you're ready to sell, but sometimes just having that information available in their head helps them be aware of their options. Like, for example, I've had this conversation so many times where people look at either Zillow and think like, okay, that's how much my home is worth, or they look at their assessed value, which we know is not how much your home is, that is not equal to the market value. And they could be missing out on so much money, which is why I'm so passionate about the whole for sale by owner thing. Is just crazy to me. Anyways, all the money they could be losing. With that being said, sharing like a story like that. So like in one of these emails, I did like a story of like this person who thought their house was worth X, but it was really worth Y. And here's how they found out. And here's how you can get your home equity report too. So basically what I'm getting at is yes, you can use those with your database, but what else you can use them with is what I would do if I wanted more listings is once a week, and this is if you're on your stories enough. If you only are on your stories one day a week, then you probably should do this once a week. But if you're using stories in that modern agent way and you're bringing people throughout your day and you're, sharing behind the scenes of your life, all the things, once a week, I would pick like maybe just in your head, no one needs to know that you do this every Tuesday, but for you, it's every Tuesday. Like use a script like that, but like sit down, have your cup of coffee and be like, hey, happy Friday. I wanted to share this story with you today. Or you'll basically bring that script to life through your stories as if you're just having a casual conversation. And you could like chop that script up like 15 different ways and just use like a little excerpt, or you could tell the story of the person who would have thought they had way less equity than they really did. Or you could talk about a client who used their equity, or you could talk about why it's important to know or how you calculate it and what factors you look at as an agent, because Zillow's never been inside someone's house. You could go that route. So anyways, you're basically getting on your stories, talking through the home equity angle, and then you're going to pop in that question sticker box. Like, are you interested in knowing how much equity you have? Or just a poll sticker, like, yes, I am curious, or no, thanks, I'm good. And then if anyone says yes, like obviously reach out to them and follow up with them, get more information and put together a report for them. So I need to finish this. I'm putting together like a little Canva template where you can plug in the actual home equity report details for that person if you want to send them like a pretty report. So that's going to be available to members super soon, probably by the time this episode airs, because we're pretty far ahead. But that's like one really easy value-driven way that's not filling your feed with real estate graphics. That's going to help people who might just be thinking about that say like, yep, that's me, and raise their hand to receive that information.
Right. And it might be a lot of those people that are going to reach out to you or like even just remember like, oh, wait, she offers these. So someday in the future, I'm going to ask her for them. Those people, it might take a while for them to be actually ready to move. Or maybe you'll do that report for them and they'll be like, oh, we don't have as much as what we thought. Like, we're not ready to move yet. But you've still planted that seed. You've still served them in some way and you've still added value to their life, and they're going to like start to remember you as a person that they turn to. So like, it feels like a long game, but again, like what you said, like this could be something where within 3 days you have someone saying, oh, that's how much my house is worth. Like, shoot, I'll sell today, you know? So that's a really great way. Another way that I've got is to highlight neighborhoods, which we've mentioned this on several episodes. But if there are certain neighborhoods in your community that you either have like a lot of people in your sphere that want to move there, or if it's like kind of becoming like a hot neighborhood that people are asking a lot about or whatever, take the time to highlight either different listings in that area or even just like driving through and highlighting it and having that be part of like local B-roll and stuff that you do. Like, there's so much that you can do, even if you don't have a listing, where you could show like, I know a lot about this area. Like, I'm very knowledgeable. I'm aware of what things are selling for. I'm aware of what buyers are looking for in this area. And like, I can help you.
This is why I feel like it's so important to be very niche down in an area. And I don't mean like a neighborhood, but niche down in a city, because when you're the expert of that city, you're going to be the agent people think of in that city. If that's your goal, right? Like, maybe you work more with your sphere and they're spread out and you have a different angle. But if you're trying to, even then, if you become known as this expert in your one city, you're going to get more referrals there. It doesn't mean you can't help your aunt or your cousin's friend in the city in the next town over. It just means that you're building your brand around the city you live in, which makes it a lot easier, I think. But here's an example. I wrote this down from one of our pieces of content. You could do this without, it doesn't have anything to do with a listing, but it can help just point people out to different things. Mm-hmm. It says, if I wanted to live in the suburbs right outside of city name where I could still walk to my favorite coffee shop each morning, here's where I would look. Mm-hmm. And then you're kind of pointing out different neighborhoods or different areas. So something like that, I think, could be used because most sellers are also probably looking to buy. It's not like they're just, I mean, some people have different scenarios, but a lot of people are going to move to a different location. Right. So when you kind of angle something in that way, I think it can help with both sides of it. Like, yes, that could be for a buyer, obviously, but it's also showing your expertise that you know neighborhoods there. So when I'm thinking about like, okay, I want someone to sell my house and market my listing, I hope that they're super familiar with the area where my house is, not like, you know, selling houses an hour away. So I would definitely leverage that. The other thing that I wrote down for this is, first of all, getting your face on camera when you do talk about these things, like how I mentioned having your cup of coffee, casual chat on Instagram. Your face on camera builds trust. No one's going to hire you to sell their house from a graphic. So kind of taking some of the things we're talking about today, but like putting yourself on camera with that topic. So another one I wrote down, these are kind of like mindset shifting pieces of content that will really make it look like you know what you're doing. It's not just like, we kind of talk about this, like it's not just about 3 ways to sell your house or 3 things you need to sell your house. Like, that's okay content, but like, what about content that makes someone, you almost want someone to be like, oh, like I never thought of it that way.
100%.
And now I'm so locked into you that I need to know more. And I feel like you're the one that's going to be able to do this the best. So I wrote down a couple from our content. More open houses won't fix your sale listing. Here's what will. You're showing your marketing strategy by sharing something like that, but doing it with your face on camera, I think would just make it more powerful. Another one I wrote down is the one time-saving trick I recommend to sellers as a city name real estate agent. Why would you not want to read that if you're even remotely thinking about selling your house? So again, even if I'm not selling my house, I want to know the answers to both of those. What about you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
It's just helping you build, again, that type of content is going to help position you as an expert, but it's not your basic what someone would expect. It's kind of taking something and spinning it into an unexpected hook so that someone's like, okay, I need to know this now, and their content's really good and I need to consume this because they know how to do this. They definitely know how to sell my house.
Yeah, 100%. Another thing that they could do is they could create some kind of listing guide or staging guide or decluttering checklist, any of those things, which we offer all of those things to our members in different capacities. But that is one thing that I found. A couple of the people who asked me about things, about listings in Marketing Therapy Thursday, was I went to their profile and I'm like, you don't mention sellers one time. Like, there's nothing about sellers. So it makes me almost think like, does she sell houses or does she just help buyers? And so this is an easy way to do that. We are big proponents about not giving people way too much information. You don't need to give them a step-by-step guide with every single piece of the transaction laid out in front of them as a freebie, okay? Like, that is so much more of something that you give to someone at like a mini consult. But giving them some kind of guide, whether it's just like a staging checklist or like questions to ask yourself before you're ready to sell or whatever. And maybe at the end of that, say like, would you like a free home equity analysis? Something that's bite-sized, easy to consume, kind of gives them a quick win, especially if it's like a decluttering checklist or like the 3 areas that buyers always look at that sellers forget, like opening drawers, opening closets, those kind of things. Those give people a quick win, and it does position you as an expert. And when you offer some kind of guide like that, especially if it's like through a landing page or whatever, you get them on your email list, you get to grow your database with that, and then continue to nurture that relationship and position yourself as the expert.
So I bought this course that it's supposed to teach parents how to get your kids to not be picky eaters, basically. And
I need that, apparently.
it's so much. And this is a course that I paid for, but it's like, get to the point. Like, I just need to know a quick win so that before watching like 10 hours worth of these videos, can get some sort of like aha moment or whatever. So like, and that's a paid thing. So when it's a free thing, does someone really need a quick win out of you? Because they're hiring you to sell the house because you're the expert. They don't need to see the 8 bazillion steps in between, or even know that it's 8 billion steps, because frankly, that could make someone think, okay, I do not want to do this right now. Like, life is way too busy. We'll recircle back to this in 5 years. Like, my house isn't that bad.
Right.
So we want to give them a quick win, something simple, something easy. So like, one of my favorite angles of this is, and this is really like not even house prepping, it's more like once your house is listed, but like a showing prep checklist. It's simple, it's easy, it's very applicable to when their house is actually on the market. So when someone asks to receive it, that they're probably really heavily thinking about selling, but also it's a really great piece of information. But that doesn't really help them. Like, they're still going to need you to price their home, to market it, to position it in the best way possible, to do all the other things, right? So you're giving them this really great piece of information that's going to be so helpful when they're preparing for a showing and make it easier and save them time and all the things, but they still need you for the other pieces. And I think sometimes we try to give someone everything, so they think like, oh my gosh, they do all this work, that's crazy. But sometimes that can backfire, because they're like, it's the overwhelm beyond implementation. Like, we'll circle back to this in 5 years. Yeah. So instead, can we give them something like that that's like very tangible, very doable, and make them think like, okay, I felt like she gave me a lot of value. Like, this was really helpful. I want to know more, or I want to, take the next step.
Yep, 100%. And, we also, like, going back to, like, I'll use the hairstylist example again. I think, again, because we are so in the weeds with real estate, like, we know all the things, and nothing that we are saying is overwhelming to us because it's just part of our everyday language and we talk about it. Our clients do not feel that way, And so, like, the same thing as, like, if you went to your hairstylist and you showed her a picture from Pinterest and said, like, I really like this look. And she, instead of saying, like, oh, okay, like, we can do that. And maybe she'll say, this might take 2 processes, but we can get you there, What if she instead said, like, okay, well, right now you are currently a level 2. And, like, in order to get you here, we're going to need to lift it here, but I'm going to need to use this kind of bleach, but then I'm going to need this kind of toner, but then also that you're going to sit there and be like, oh my gosh, maybe I don't need this at all. Maybe just do me a trim. Like, it's going to feel like way too much. But if she just said, like, sure, no problem, here's what you can expect for today's process. The end. And then get to talking about all the good stuff. You're going to see, first of all, not only did she make it simple for you to understand, but she was very confident. Like, she was like, oh, I know exactly what I'm doing. You came to the right place. I have no questions about this, and whatnot. And so I think we need to adapt that same mentality for real estate and for our clients. We can't forget that all of the information that we know is not everyday language for them. And so we have to be sensitive to that.
Can I share a fun spin that I just read about that I love the idea of for a listing? So this is not necessarily applicable to a listing, but I read it in Hannah Brencher's email, and I'm like, I need to like weave this into marketing in some way, because it's just such a fun way to think about it. But Hannah Brencher talks about routines a lot, and she actually has a course on like establishing better routines in your life, like with your home and your schedules and all of that, which I probably really could use. She does a turn down service. in the evening. So she says she used to do it at different times. Now she does it at like 4 o'clock, so before dinner. So she kind of like goes through, picks up her house, closes the blinds, lights a candle, kind of like, have you ever had turn down service at a hotel where they like prep your room? It's like the most relaxing, amazing feeling. 4 feels super early for me to do that, especially like now that it's staying light out longer.
Right.
But like, I love like let's get the bed ready. Let's turn on like when I'm thinking of putting Henry down, I'll put on like the lamp where it's kind of like just a dim light so we can read, and I'll put the humidifier going, and I'll put the sound machine on. Like, almost think of like what I thought of it related to listings is you could kind of create a turn down service that you teach sellers that is kind of like they're showing prep. It could even be the angle of getting their house ready, right? Because you think of all the cozy vibes I just mentioned, and you can name it something different, but like kind of have that in mind where someone's like, ooh, that sounds so nice. Like, not only are you going to make that listing then look better, but you're going to give sellers that just totally different, unexpected piece of advice or angle that no one else is telling them. No one else is coming at it from that like super cozy, warm and fuzzy angle. And it just makes like, it sounds better. So imagine how much it would look better when they actually implement it. So I think using stuff like that and talking about it all the time. So like if you do decide to do something along those lines, like talk about it all, like every week, do a different piece of content that kind of weaves that in. And it could even you simply be like, doing it in your stories, like I'm doing my nightly turn down service. I help my sellers figure this out for their listings. Like just that simple little add-on. It doesn't make your stories boring. It makes them want to watch it. It has that cozy vibe. It's probably aesthetically pleasing. Like it kind of checks all the boxes. So I
you can even incorporate that in like open houses. I only do open houses in the evenings because we do this service. Like I make sure it's only lamps and lots of candles and lots of whatever. Like you can make it very strategic. Another piece of advice that I would give for people who want more sellers that most people don't talk about is nurture your past buyers. If you have been doing this even for 2 years, you have buyers that you have probably helped who have probably already at least thought about what their next house would be like and where they would want to move to and what they would want in their next home. Don't negate that. Like they always say, like it's so much cheaper to nurture your past clients than it is to try to find new ones. And this is the same exact thing. When you are starting, you are going to be having a lot of buyers, but it's easy to forget that like almost every single buyer will turn into a seller as well. So nurture those relationships, stay in like contact with them. Like a postcard is not enough. Like it's not going to do the trick, but like actually text them, like something just like even consider it. Like even, and I'll still do it sometimes, even though I'm not trying to grow my real estate business anymore, but sometimes I'll see a house and I'll drive by a place that I showed my clients and I'll text them and be like, oh my gosh, remember when this happened at this house? Like that was so funny. Like hope you guys are doing well. Like it's so simple. It's so easy, but we forget to make time for those things because we're so busy like worrying about like I need more clients, I need more business and all of that we have business probably right here on our phones that we're not tuning into.
I just did this the other day. It's a good friend of ours, but when they were looking at houses, this was 10 years ago, there was a house we looked at, the house they bought actually, and the little boy who lived there was named Jack, and like it was Jack's house. Like Jack had 4 playrooms. He had, like the cute little Jack's room sign. He had like all the things. And the other day I was in my house and I'm like, this is Henry's house. Like he has toys everywhere. Like Henry has little corners in every room. He has a sign in his playroom that says Henry Hayes. Like this is the Jack's house, but Henry's version. And if someone came in here and I left all of Henry's stuff everywhere, they'd be like, oh my God, Henry's probably such a spoiled whatever.
Yeah.
And it was just so funny. So I texted our friends and I was like, I just realized, you remember Jack's house? Well, Henry owns our house. Right. And it was so funny. And we're talking about when they were looking at houses and it was like all these memories. But like, it's so easy to do that, right? Like to come up with something, like even if I got this new journal and I'm obsessed with it, not journal, planner. Mm-hmm. It's called the Flight Planner, but usually I don't care about these things, but it has like a bird's eye view for the week. So it tells you like your week focus. This week I want to feel, try, read or listen to, and connect with. And at first I'm like, I'm never going to fill that out. But then yesterday, 2 things. I read Hannah Brencher's email and I wrote it in here. So try for next week is try turn down service. And then connect with is another one. So like you could put in here, like maybe think of 3 past clients, 3 past buyers you want to connect with the following week. And like, you don't need this journal to do, or this planner to do this, but write that down. Who do I want to connect with next week?
Yeah.
And then intentionally try to find something that you could send them that's like either a memory or it's maybe something that made you think of them or whatever. Like you can intentionally make that happen. But I thought that was like a cool thing to add in here. Like maybe for me, I want to connect with some of our top contributing members and send them something in the mail. Maybe I want to do a giveaway and I'm going to connect with my members group. Like maybe that's it. Maybe I want to connect with my husband, whatever it is. So I thought that was a cool thing. But another idea, and my sales directors told me this when I was an agent, is set your buyer. So all of your buyers who bought houses, set up a home search for yourself in the neighborhood where they bought a house. Whenever a house goes up for sale in their neighborhood, it's a great opportunity to reach out and share the information. So
yes, that's so good.
Yes, I shared about one of our neighbors putting up their house for sale. Was that the episode we were laughing in? I don't remember, but we were always laughing. So first of all, our agent messaged us and said, do you know anyone that would want to be your neighbor? Like your neighbor's putting their house up for sale. And I was like, oh yeah, actually I do. So I sent it to my friend. They're not moving here, unfortunately. But I kept like waiting to see, like, I want to know when it gets an accepted offer because I want to know how long it took. I want to know what it sells for. I want to know all the information. So if you could do, like, we all want to know that about the neighborhood we live in because we're all thinking like, what does that mean for my house? What does that mean for the price I would sell my house at? And it gets the neighbors talking. So you be the one that emails your past buyers and says like, did you know 123 Monica Street went up for sale? And you send them the listing and then you tell them when it closes and how much it sold for. And there's your little PS. Do you want to know how much equity you have? I mean, that is valuable information. Anyone who is a homeowner wants to know that information. And if they don't, then I'm not really sure. Like that doesn't make any sense if they don't want to know. That's like a valuable way to reach out. And yes, they're a buyer, but they're probably going to buy and sell again. So if you're the one providing them the information rather than them pulling up Zillow, trying to find like, oh, what did it sell for? Is this even accurate? When's the information going to be here? You're already there giving it to them.
Yes. Okay. So now let's move to actually like, okay, now you have your listing. Like, what do we do with it? So I think that with every listing, you have two goals, right? Like your goal is obviously to sell the house, like to market it well, to sell it, but to also grow your own business, grow your own brand, and like do something memorable so that you can get more business from this one listing. So do you want to talk about like marketing the lifestyle first?
Yes, that's my favorite topic.
It's my favorite too. You know what this always makes me think of? Friends, when Joey accidentally buys the boat and Rachel is trying to tell, what's his name? Is it Mr. Beaumont? Or
Mr. Beaumont.
Mr. Beaumont. And she's like, imagine it. The Pam. You know, you'll be riding on it and you'll feel the wind in your arms. And all of a sudden, Joey's like, I want that. Like, I want all those things. Yeah. But it's like that right there is marketing the lifestyle. Like, she didn't just say like, well, it is a great value and like, you'll be able to use it a lot. It's like, this is what your life is like.
And she didn't say, it has this much horsepower. Here's how fast it goes. Here's the wheel. Here's the... Exactly. She was marketing how you're going to feel when you're on the boat. And then when she says the Pam, and he goes, I don't think she would like that very much.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, the Mr. Beaumont.
Yes, exactly. And you think about if she would have led with like horsepower and square footage and all of those things, Joey would have been like headed in the clouds, not knowing at all what she was talking about.
Yeah, I don't care about that. Get rid of it. I want my money back.
Yes. Now, I will say, I feel like this is a concept that has really caught on in social media world. I feel like a lot of agents, even if they don't typically market themselves in a modern way, they are understanding the value of marketing the lifestyle. But like, what are things that our people can consider to be better than them? Like we want our listeners to be even better than everybody else out there. Where would you start?
This is like a really simple, funny one. But I was at my friend's house for our movie club a couple weeks ago, and they have a really nice theater room, and it has the stadium seating, and it has the screen with like lights around it, and it's just really, really nice. And I sold them that house, and she was telling our other friend who's like a newer, she's my friend and now they're friends too. So she's like a newer friend, and she was telling her like, oh, when we bought this house, like we came down here and we weren't even expecting this room like from the listing. And there was a movie playing, and they had popcorn going, and they had the surround sound on, and the light was dim. And she was like, I want this house. She wasn't even looking for a theater room. That wasn't even in their like checklist of must-haves or anything. But like that kind of like converted them from just being another house to being like, okay, here's how you can use it. And that's like such a prime example of taking just one of the rooms, and I know a theater room is a little extreme because not every house has a theater room, but that's one thing you can do in so many different ways. Like you could do it if they had just a simple TV room. You could do it by the music that you're playing in the house as people are touring it. You could like recommend this playlist. Like, can you imagine being a seller and your agent sends you over like a 10-step checklist of things to do before someone comes to look at your house, and like one of the things is like play this Spotify playlist through your, if they have like surround sound speakers in their house, they could do it. Or you could say like, here's my speaker you can use for the length of your listing, and make sure you play this Spotify playlist. It's very calming, it's very whatever. Or you can do it through lighting, through candles. You can pick a cozy corner, you could pick the cozy, like it's basically just about pulling that lifestyle out so someone sees it. And some people go extreme where they're like, I think this is all kind of cheesy, kind of funny. Like another house we looked at with my friends that bought Jack's house, they had like empty champagne glasses and like fake grapes on the bathtub tray, and like I could go either way with that. I would almost either go all in on the scene, or I would like, it looked kind of silly. But there's little things you can do that would make it, like, almost to me, the sound element is really important and the lighting element. And so maybe I would light a candle right there, or a bottle of champagne, rather than empty glasses. But
yeah, but there are little things. We've talked before about like the flamingo floaty in a pool, or like have the hot tub open and like have like music on out there. When we sold our last house, it was so annoying because keep in mind, our kids were little. Like Luke was like not even a year old yet. And I'm like hustling to get all the kids out and grab the dog, get all of our stuff, load it in the car. Brett is over there at the train table setting up different scenes. And I'm like, what are you doing? But we had showings for like a week, and every one of those agents commented that the people's kid liked that, and they played with the trains, and we would come home and see that things were messed with. And then the people who ended up buying it like had kids, and they're like, oh yeah, they played with that while we looked around the house or whatever. So he was like so proud of himself, and he's like, I'm helping. And I'm like, you're actually not. You're actually not helping. But like, it's the same idea. Let me show you what life would be like if your kids were playing in this playroom and if you were sitting here and whatever. And so, yeah, I always think of that one.
That's cute. It doesn't have to be like, you don't have to do all the things, but lean into the house. Like, is it most likely a house that kids would be moving into at some point, possibly? Like, then you can kind of decide if that makes sense, right? Like, or do you have kids and you want to kind of show that? I also thought of like, I've shown houses before where like they had like a Mickey Mouse wallpaper. Like I would maybe take that down. Like how can you kind of also give advice based on things like that aren't so over the top themey? But going back to lifestyle, I think ultimately you don't need to overdo it. It's not like you need to like overly theme or stage every room to like paint a picture of being there. But if you can do it just a little bit and create that homey vibe, like yes, we want things like clutter-free and clear and all that stuff, but like sometimes I feel like a listing looks very cold and it doesn't feel inviting and it doesn't feel warm. And I think just those little touches make a huge difference. Having the fireplace going, or if it's a really hot day, having the AC cranked, like just complementing whatever is happening, or like the current season.
The goal is to make people walk in and be like, I don't want to leave. Like, I want to stay. I want to sit down. I want to talk about this. I don't want to go home. Like, that's like the ultimate goal.
Right. So how do we take that and spin it into social media marketing, or like marketing your actual listing? Because like those are some of the obviously in-person things, but then what would you do on your Instagram stories, in a reel, in a piece of content that are more than the just listed that doesn't help at all?
Yeah. Well, I think anytime, like everything that we just mentioned, you take B-roll of that and you take pictures of that and you like mix it together in some kind of reel. I've added a little like album on my Instagram. I don't like taking other agents' listing ideas and like sharing them. I like taking random reels and being like, no, this could be a good listing one. So I'll link some of these too in the show notes, but some of them that I found that were really funny or just like really good. The one girl, she does a lot of these. Her name is Over the Moon Far Away, and she's the girl that's always like dressing, in my 2000s clothes, walking through my high school hallways, feeling so cool. But she did one and it said, it's 1997 and you fell asleep at your grandma's house. And she's like waking up and she like posed this whole thing. Like everyone's seen that couch before. Everyone's seen these like random things. But I just thought like, okay, like if let's say you're marketing a house that's not super cool, that's like really dated, you could do something even like that, like bring back the nostalgia of like, hey, like there's actually a lot of nostalgia here and everyone remembers this pattern or everyone remembers this wallpaper or whatever. And like market your house in that way. So it's not like a traditional, like, we're going to walk through the house and show you all these things, you know?
That's cute. Donald Miller, I can't think of his new podcast name, but he just did an episode on nostalgia.
Yes,
That
so good.
is really good. That's such a good point to like lean into whatever it is and lean into the season, lean into local. So this is another topic is don't just talk about the house, but talk about the community where the house is located. So this gets into my top 10 list, which I've did my whole real estate career. And I've now given that idea to probably thousands and thousands and thousands of agents. But have a top 10 list that your sellers fill out, because what's going to happen is they're going to tell you things that you never would have otherwise known. So when we sold our house, I'm on my top 10 list. I put that our subdivision has the best trick-or-treating. And I know I've told this story, sorry. But the person who bought my house said her favorite holiday is Halloween. And she was like, I'm so happy you put that on there. Like she never would have known that, right? The other thing is I had like these built-in bookshelves in the basement. And she was like, I love reading. I was just staring at all your books. This happened once we accepted the offer, like later. But it's just funny how, what if I took all the books down? What if I tried to make that like staged, very stagey, like where I just put like vases and sculptural elements on it. I left the books. I left the cozy feeling. And obviously sometimes we need to change some things so that it doesn't look cluttered or whatever, but like kind of figure out like what makes sense to lean into and use that top 10 list to do it. So if I said like, oh, well, if the seller said they love reading in this corner, blah, 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 and they have a bookshelf filled with books, leave the bookshelf and make sure that corner is something you highlight and share that top 10 list. Obviously you could share it in like as part of your reel that you do to promote the house. Like I love to, when the agent is in the video, like I don't think we need a basic walkthrough of like room to room, because number one, no one cares about the 12 by 12 bedroom that has a queen size bed in it and a white comforter, like boring, right? Take just a couple pieces of the house that really make it what it is and give the vibe that you want people to know about, and like you go in it and do something. So I remember one of our members, I actually shared about this in another episode recently. She loves The Bachelor. So she did a whole like, come watch The Bachelor with me and drink Prosecco at my new listing.
Oh my gosh.
And like
so
walk
fun.
through the house, turn the TV on, blah, blah, blah. And it's just so, like, it catches you off guard. It's so lifestyle infused and so good. And it makes you like want to keep watching, right? So other things you could do is like, you could like pull cookies out of the oven as if you just baked them. You could be like mixing up cookie batter and making cookies. You could pour a glass of wine, make an iced coffee, like some type of a video that's like where you're doing something in the house. And I almost like you are kind of zoomed in on that room specifically. And maybe while you're making the iced coffee or you're making the cookie batter or you're doing the thing, you're talking about the house. Like you're talking about that lifestyle. Maybe you're going through that top 10 list and saying like, you wouldn't know this just by touring the house, but they have the best trick-or-treating and they have this and that. And you're pointing out these things that are unseen, because those are the details that are really going to make the listing attractive too, to things that people are really like the ones who are really considering the house. Like they're going to be the ones that want to know those extra details. So why not make it like a competitive situation by sharing everything someone would want to know about that listing?
Yes, I love all of that. I also think in like spring and just like nicer weather, it could be so cute if you have a listing that has like a nice backyard or something. You could sit on like the back patio furniture with like a glass of lemonade or iced tea. Even bring your kids, let them run around and play and like say like, you know, point of view, you moved to this neighborhood and now your nights sound like this. And you could do like an ASMR style video where you're like hearing them laugh, or like you turn on a sprinkler and like you're hearing the sounds of that. You're going on a walk, you know, like the dog barking, whatever. Like I remember like when we moved to our neighborhood, when we first drove through this neighborhood, literally like all of our friends lived here and we saw them out like walking around and like dogs were out, kids were out, and we were like, oh my gosh, like could this be it? Like could this be like where we actually get to live, just because we got to like immersed in the culture of the neighborhood. And leaning into like the local community like that is such a great tactic for homes that really aren't anything special. I think that we see so many like cool listings on Instagram and we kind of feel like insecure about our own, but like the truth is most homes aren't spectacular. Like most of them aren't super cool. So if you like have a house that's just like okay, or maybe it needs some work or whatever, really pulling into the fact that like, hey, you're only this far away from the parade, or you're only this far from the local movie theater or whatever. Highlight those things too, and that could really make people look at your house in a different light.
Even pulling in clips of what does the community look like. So maybe there's a cool walking trail, maybe you pull in even like the downtown and like where to get ice cream in the summer, or did you know like this is probably where you're going to go on walks with your kids, or like those extra little things, because you're not just buying the house. Like we always talk about location. Well, it's not just the location of the house itself, it's a location of like where in that community is it and what city are you buying in, because that city is going to also lend to the lifestyle they're going to get out of it, not just the home itself. Like living where we live, for example, I'm 4 minutes from downtown Delafield, which I love. And it's that town looks like a little Hallmark card, and they have the cutest gas station in the world. And like things like that. So like how can someone know about those things, especially if they're not, like if you're getting people that aren't necessarily from there. Like when we moved out here at first, it was a little too far west for us. So we were kind of like that's not really on our list, but we like that house. Let's just go check it out. So like knowing more about this community would have been like a really helpful thing to know and made us even more excited to move here. So I think just those little things that we don't always think of, like even if someone's moving from one town over, like it's going to be a little bit different. How can we paint that picture and make it desirable? Because there's desirable things about every little community.
Yep. I did that for one of my listings. The listing was actually in a town that wasn't as popular, but it was in a school district that was really popular. So most people see the town name and think like, oh, I don't want to live all the way out there. But it's like, actually, it's in the school district. And so when I marketed it, like I showed the house and whatnot, but then I also was like, and you're only 5 minutes away from like all of these shops and all this park, this river greenway, like all of the things so that they saw like, oh, like that's actually where we would go to school and where we would watch the football games and all of those kind of things. Because of course that's what I think of. And so, and I mean, it made the house sell a lot faster because of that pull, that it wasn't just like, oh, that's in that town. Like that's not where I'm looking to move.
Yeah, there's so much you can do. It's all about the lifestyle vibes. It's about telling the story of like, what is your life going to look like here to the buyers? But you know, at the same time, with all of this that we're talking about, you can be getting content that you can use ongoing. So if you are taking a video of you baking cookies or making coffee in the kitchen, like take a bunch of B-roll clips. You can just have your phone on a tripod and hit record, and you could break that up 50 different ways. Like if you record for a couple minutes, like different angles, different whatever, and you can use that. So like when I talked about, you know, the post, more open houses won't fix your sale listing, here's what will. You could use that same video that you took to promote your listing, take a clip of it, and then use a voiceover to talk about why more open houses won't fix your sale listing, and here's what will. So that's how you want to get with your content. Is we don't need new content for every single opportunity, for every single post, for every single story. We want to kind of have this collection of content. So like leverage your listing to get yourself a bunch of content that you can use a million ways. If you're doing that, you know, front porch with your lemonade, like again, that could be used a million different ways, a million different B-roll clips. I love when like I see a familiar B-roll clip on an account used over and over. It's like their identity, right? Like it's like that's their account, that's their style, and it almost feels like this comfort feeling, I guess. Like, oh, I know them. Like that's the account I always follow. But you see that clip repeated, and I think like we're afraid to do that sometimes, but it's actually really beneficial because it makes you memorable.
Yeah, totally. Another thing that's really fun to do for listings is to kind of like gamify them. So I've had ideas before where like for me, my husband being the football coach here in town, or we're the Eagles, my idea was always, and I never did it, get like a eagle, kind of like eagle stuffed animal or something, or figure or whatever, and like hide it in a few of the different listing photos. So like tell the photographer like, hold on, I'm going to make it like sneak out right here, or here's the wing or whatever. And then I was going to tell people like the eagle is hidden in these pictures like this many times. Like when you find them, circle them and email them here, and like you could win whatever. But just to make it like a fun thing, and you don't even have to make it necessarily that complicated, but that kind of, it gamifies it. It makes it, you want to draw people in even if they're not looking to buy or sell, and it gives them a reason to like look, and it makes them think like when it's time for them to list, oh wait a minute, that's the girl, she always gets a lot of interactions when she does this thing. Like I want to see my house used like that, you know?
I also love the idea of naming your listing.
Yeah.
I think that is so fun because I would want to know, like, what are you going to name mine? And you could have like a theme to it where all your listings are named after a movie or a TV show or the one with, and you do like a Friends vibe.
Yeah.
And that also creates curiosity about the listing, because when you do have a name like that, like you could use this with your email list, and you could say like, it could be like a thing. Like whenever you get a new listing, your email list gets an email about it where you kind of make it fun. You gamify it, you release the name, and then when it hits the market the following week, you like add it as a PS in your next email of like, oh, if you wanted to see that listing I was talking about, here it is.
Yep.
And it not only shows your marketing skills, it shows your creativity, it shows that you're getting your listing out to more people. Because if I'm a seller in 2025, I want to know what your social media marketing skills are. I want to know what your email marketing skills are. How big is your email list? Who are you communicating with? Where is my listing going? How are you going to get it out to more people? Here's a question I have. So this is like kind of a controversial topic of like agents using other agents' listings to do their marketing.
Yeah.
And I can see it both ways, but there was a post in a Facebook group that I saw recently, and it was saying like an agent, you know, shared my listing on Instagram and it's not theirs. And they did like say that it wasn't, they like put listed by whoever, but this agent was mad, and they said like, what are your thoughts on this? And like the comments were honestly like probably 70% of people were like, they're marketing your listing, why do you care? Like if you're gonna get it in front of more eyeballs, you should be happy about that. The 30% was like, get your own listings, like why are you doing that? So there are certainly agents who don't agree with that. So I kind of see both sides. I'm like Switzerland in the topic. Yeah. I think there's obviously a way to do it that makes like, I could see if you're an agent, you're like, can I go see your listing just so I can get social media content? I kind of think that's probably not a great strategy, just because like you're making that seller get their whole house ready for that. So maybe like go to the open house if you want to do that.
You know, I totally agree that agents should never make a seller get out of their house just for the sake of them capturing content, unless I do think that there are agents who are just really good at creating marketing content. And if they have reached out and like talked with the seller's agent and they have agreed, like maybe that seller's agent is really good at a lot of things, that maybe marketing isn't one of them, if they're willing to like, you know, work together a little bit and see that, because it is one of those things where it's not like that agent who's marketing the property is getting paid to do that, but it is helping grow their business by showing their expertise. So I do think that there could be situations where everyone's okay with it. I don't think agents should ever be deceitful about it and act as if, oh, I have a buyer, I want to schedule, a showing, and then all of a sudden you're just there for yourself. I think that's really icky behavior. Obviously, I mean, there are a lot of agents who do this, who clearly a lot of the listings that they are showing are just really cool listings, but they're not all actually theirs. So they must have some kind of thing worked out, but I'm sure that there's also chatter on the other side of things with agents in that community that they're not happy with something, or something has gone on behind the scenes that has rubbed people the wrong way.
Honestly, if you are an agent who maybe this isn't like your expertise, and you're like, I really want my listing to have this because sellers are seeing it out there, maybe you like pair up with an agent who is local, who is really good at this, and you pay them to do the video, the marketing of it, or help you with it or whatever. Like there's so much, like why not collaborate on like, maybe you're really good at the pricing strategy and the negotiation, which is so important, and this feels like extra fluff to you, but at the same time you want as many eyeballs on your listing as you can get. Like maybe leverage that local agent who's going to get your listing to get 1 million eyeballs locally. Like why would you not want that for your seller? That's only going to drive more offers, get them a better sale price. So I definitely see it both ways, but yes, it can't be like a deceitful, like, can I go see this house and I'm going to get a bunch of content. Like I don't think that that's okay, or to ever act like a listing is your own. I think that that's where a lot of that, like, I mean, agents can get a bad rap from the general public, and if a seller has to leave their house, and I can't imagine like getting Henry out of here, cleaning up all of our stuff, making it show ready, and then an agent's just coming here to get content for their Instagram. Like that sounds really bad. So I kind of wanted to address that very lightly, just because I don't think that should be the strategy.
And I do think too that like I will say, like, I remember thinking that same thing when I was still doing real estate full time. I remember thinking like, I really just like creating the marketing material more than anything else. Surprise, surprise. But I remember, like, for instance, like my mom is a real estate agent too, and she and I work together. And so I do that for her listings. Like I will go like market them or whatever. And then sometimes she'll pay me a portion of it, or other times she's helped me with so many other things that we're just calling it even. But I do remember telling her one time, like, I should just offer this as a service to agents, and not necessarily to market them or have me in all of them, but to be like, hey, I'll go on photo day, I'll go to the house, I'll take the video footage, I'll put together, 2 reels for you, 3 reels for you, or whatever, and like you just pay me X amount of dollars, just because I think that is so fun. So I guess that same mentality would go to like, hey, I'll put them on my page where I'm getting people too. I'll tag you in the listing, but then you can also share this. Like we'll collaborate and you can share this on your page. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but it has to be like a mutual agreement with the seller as well. And I would try to do all of that on the same day that pictures are being taken. That way the seller's only getting out of the house once.
That is such a good idea. And honestly, like if you are a newer agent, your business is slow, like you could do that and make money, extra money, and get experience and be like someone that these, more successful agents start to trust and maybe give referrals to.
Yeah.
There's so much opportunity when you collaborate in a trustworthy, value-driven way than when you're just trying to get stuff for yourself. Like, look at all of the agents and listings and lack of marketing skills, probably a very needed service, right? I see a lot of Facebook group posts in those real estate Facebook groups saying like, what's a good side job? And my whole thing is like, if you need a side job, make your own job your side job. And you could do something like that. It's benefiting your business and another agent, and you could make extra money. Like try to do something that's still in your own, like if you start to get out of the real estate industry with a side job, you're going to be sidetracked. It's like having 2 Instagram accounts. Like it's hard. It's really hard to focus. Like how can you just put all the focus and energy into one to make it really, really good and make it really pay off? So like that, something like that is a really great strategy to do. And even if it's something simple, like I love the idea of going on photo day. And I think like as an agent with a listing, ways that you want to leverage it, it's not like you need, like, what would you say, like how many pieces of content should you make for a listing? I would have like a repeatable system that I do for every listing, so I'm not doing way more for one versus another. Obviously, if you have some really cool listing, you're probably going to want to do a few more extra things because it's great content for you. But like if you give yourself a system of these are the 5 things I do, it's going to make going into each listing a lot easier to tackle, and you're going to be sure to get enough content from each one.
Let's talk about what people should do when they have their listing, they get to closing. How can they like still emphasize the fact that they've really helped these people, or that they were a great listing agent, and still like continue to market that even beyond like a closing day photo? What kind of things can we be sharing to like really position yourself as the like listing agent for your community?
I would try to take one story from that transaction, one thing that happened, one result you help them get, and pull it out and use it on repeats. This is where you're getting like strategically consistent and repeating that message, even though you feel like you already told that story. The more you tell that story, the more people are going to remember that story. And you can tell it in a million different angles, right? It could be like part of a reel. It could be a voiceover. It could be an example you use. It could be a story in an email. But I think like when you have that, like I kind of tell that story of like Taylor using The Bachelor as one of her things that helped her connect with people. And I've told that several times in many different ways. Not that that's my story. My point is that you can use a story of a client, a result you got, a successful transaction, how you help them highlight that lifestyle, whatever it is, and use it in a million ways. Like don't just tell it once, because telling it once, it's going to get missed. Like think of how busy we are we're standing in the grocery store line looking at Instagram. We are waiting for our kid to get in the car at school pickup line. Like we're not sitting there like it's a like a course we're taking, right? So like if
Right.
you're talking about something more than once, it makes your account better. Like I promise you it makes it better. And so I would take that, like if you can pull one story, one example, one takeaway from each listing and almost like get yourself a journal or something or a thing, and for each listing, like write out what they are. I almost think of it like it's the burn book of listings. But where you're gonna have like, okay, so this has the tabs, and I'm picturing like each tab being a listing, and you can
Yes.
put like like marketing things I did, which reel performed the best, what takeaway was there. Maybe there was like a negative story that you could spin into a learning lesson. Maybe there was a really good win, and like what did they do right? Like maybe it's because they did agree to paint those ugly walls, or like
Yep.
what is the takeaway? Each listing will have something you can run with, and then use it in your content. Like that is the biggest thing you can do. It's like pull out the story, pull out the takeaway, and use it on repeat.
Yeah, that's totally true. I mean, I wrote down like one thing that you could do is you could share like on closing day, something like a picture of your front seat with like a bottle of champagne and a little closing gift, and be like, this gift or this closing day was brought to you by, and maybe put on the screen like a couple things that happened during the transaction, right? But then like several weeks later, you could say something like, my clients listed their home and moved 3 states over in 7 weeks, and I'm going to show you how they did it in 10 seconds. It could be the exact same couple, the exact same story, but you're just sharing it in a different way, a more broad way, not necessarily like, these are their names and this is what we did. But you can continue to share those things over and over again. And so even like one listing could basically turn into like 20 pieces of listing content and position you as like this really great expert, even though you actually only closed on one house. So yeah, I agree. Repurposing that. The other thing that you can do is you can like take that story, like you can give like the general synopsis and like literally put it into ChatGPT and be like, I want to come up with 10 pieces of content ideas that I could do with this that are like in this style or in this voice, or like that hit on these 3 things or whatever. It's not going to spit out anything perfect, but it's going to at least get the wheels turning in your head, that it's like, oh, I didn't think about that angle, or oh, I didn't think about connecting it there. So like maximize this. Like don't immediately close and then be like, well, I need another listing now. Like I don't have anything else. Take every little thing and like run with it.
Those are such good ideas. Like rewind and write those down, everyone listening.
Yeah.
With ChatGPT, we could do a whole episode on this, and I think it could be really fun and kind of make it workshop-y, experimental style episode. But what else you could do is you could take things like, okay, here's the story I want to use as my takeaway story from this listing. And you could like pair it with your weekly email and say, okay, I want to start this week's email with this story about my listing. Can you make it lead into the whatever the rest of your email is going to be about, and it'll help you come up with like, okay, here's maybe how you would start that, or here's how you could tie these 2 things together. Because you could make it like turn it into a takeaway, just like a lot of our emails will be like a story and it'll turn into a takeaway.
Yeah.
So that's another really cool thing you can do, because now you're taking that one listing, and not only could you create a million pieces of Instagram social media content with it, but you could also take it and turn it into email content and video content in a million ways, right? So I think that's so cool.
Yeah. I'm like literally thinking, like recalling one listing a buyer that I had, but it was the same kind of idea where she was actually like a coach's wife friend that we'd met through our husbands. And I just looking through their whole process, I'm like, gosh, I could pull like 12 pieces of content from this. But like, for example, like they were moving because he got a new like football coaching job. So I could share like, I get it. Like this is what happens. And like we had the one where they had to move in before August, that kind of angle. But then I could also go the angle of like, the time that I had to show them their house, I had to have all 4 of my kids with me because I didn't have anyone else to watch them. But then she had her kids with her too. And so that all of a sudden there were like 6 kids running around in the yard, but like, so I could do something with that. When we went to their house, there was a dead owl in their backyard. Oh. And it was like, so I could start a story by being like, should you buy a house when there's a dead animal in the backyard? Like, read to find out. You know what I mean? Like, I could tell their same story over and over again, but with different hooks. So, like, the journal is a great idea. Like, take a journal or, like, a Google Doc. Write down what happened. Write down as many details as you can remember. And then pull, like, 5 hooks from that. Like, what are 5 different angles you could go from there? And then put all of those in a ChatGPT. I mean, possibilities are endless. I feel like my brain is, like, spinning right now because I'm like,
I know, me
there's
too.
so much more you can do.
I want to go list a house right now.
I know. Gosh.
All I can think about is a dead owl. I'm like, there's a dead body in the backyard.
Exactly.
My clients bought the house with a dead body in the backyard.
Yes.
Whenever Henry sees a big bird, he goes, whoo. Like he thinks any big bird is an owl.
Of course.
Flying in the sky. Okay, this is so good. I hope this is helpful. And I know like we have a million ideas spinning in our heads. You guys probably have a million ideas spinning in yours. Let's kind of go through like a summary of takeaways. And we covered a lot. But I guess starting with getting more listings. If you want to be, like that's what we talked about first. If you want to be noticed by more sellers, you need to talk more about your listing process. You need to talk more about things like the home equity report, sending the neighborhood listings to your to your past buyers, things like that, and then nurturing them through that. Having a lead magnet or some type of a free resource that someone can request that shares a bite-sized piece of your process with a quick takeaway.
I mean, yeah, and then for actually like balancing marketing the lifestyle, but also adding your personality, adding a little bit of your personal brand. Obviously, we gave like a ton of ideas there, but really like leaning into local, not showing the entire listing in one sitting. And, we kind of talked about like how many pieces of content should you make for each thing. My rule was kind of like 1 a week, but to take as much footage as you can, and maybe you only need 1 because then it goes under contract. Maybe you need 4 weeks worth, or maybe you need to go back. But take more footage than what you know what to do with, and then you can use those pieces in so many different ways.
And then lastly, definitely repurpose all this content to not only get more listings, but to tell stories, show your expertise, get your face on camera with it, because that's the trust building component that most people are missing. That's going to take that listing into getting you another listing because they like you, trust you, like your advice, like your style. That's a big part of that too. So don't forget to include yourself in all of this. It can't just be about the house because a million people are out there selling houses. Why are they going to pick you?
Exactly.
So I think that about covers it.
I know. I loved it. I hope that you guys all get so many listings you don't even know what to do with them. And if you guys like want more ideas or want more episodes like this, let us know because this is super fun for us.
I loved it so much. You know what I think of? This is actually like a psychology thing. When there's a bunch of people in line for a place, you like want to get in that line over the one that's dead. Or you're almost like, what's wrong with that other one? Like you want your listing to be the one everyone's lining up for. And when that happens, you're going to be the agent everyone's lining up for. So don't sleep on your listing marketing opportunities because they are endless and they're going to be so much better than any kind of cold lead you could ever get that knows nothing about all these things that you're doing. It's going to be the people that are like, I want you to do that for me.
Yeah.
So be the one everyone's lining up for.
Exactly. Create the hype and then we will be your hype girls rooting you on. So
awesome. Well, thank you guys for listening. We will see you next Tuesday.
Bye.
I'm so glad we got to hang out today. If you're as sad as I am that our time is up, I've got good news. There are a couple of different ways we can keep the conversation going.
First, follow us on Instagram at Modern Agent Marketing Girls and introduce yourself in the DMs. Also, we always have a free Modern Agent resource available, so check out today's show notes for the goods.
And finally, hang out with other go-to real estate girls like you and finally create a marketing plan that works when you join Modern Agent Social Club. All the details are in today's notes.
XOXO, the Marketing Girls.